call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. You call me a god. Let's go.
All right, what's up, guys? Let's Farm Dave. How's it going? What's up, Mike? Me and you back at it again here.
Back at it. Yeah. Yeah.
We
Kind of a topic that's close to my heart or close to my ass. I'm not sure which way.
well, I mean, you and I have been here a couple times. Talking. We've had at least one big conversation about this, and I think it's probably good that we do every so often. Really, the hi Robin and Ascalon. The I think that it's probably good that we come back to this every now and then and talk about not just like our experiences, but just addiction in general and how many people it affects, and ways, maybe not ways, but resources that are out there for people and different things. And while I may not personally prescribe to certain programs and methods, whatever works for somebody is what works, and
Yeah.
I'm for that. Whatever works for you is the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
But anyway, you want to kick off your thoughts on the subject here, and we'll just jump right in.
Well, it's kind of first of all, addiction, I think, is responsible for, I would guess, around 70 to 80% of our crime in this country is based on addiction. And it's something that just permeates our culture in every which way. Going down to DWI deaths and overdose deaths and all of that stuff. They don't even I talked to a paramedic here in Minneapolis, and he said he was really burnt out, and he said that he was picking up 2 dead kids a week from fentanyl poisoning or heroin overdose or whatever, oxy or whatever in the hell they OD'd on. And they don't even report that anymore. They don't report the numbers. It isn't newsworthy because it happens so often that and I have so many friends that have fallen along the wayside, and so many. And then back when I was coming up and I just started drinking and partying and stuff, and we had all these little kids running around, those little kids are dying like flies of alcoholism, and they were like, little toddlers when I remembered them, right? And I hear, so and so died of, liver went or some goddamn thing, and it just permeates, and it's taken over. I can see it in our families. Like my dad was an alcoholic, and a few of his brothers were. And then me and my brother and my sister were, or 2 brothers and a sister. It went into all of us. And then I look at all these families of these friends that I had back when I was like in my 20s, and the families just peppered with alcoholism everywhere. It's just so it is a big deal, and we don't seem to know how to deal with it very well.
Yeah. I think that so yeah, my experience is much the same. Here several years back, we had a 1 year jump of 600% in overdoses in this county, and being in eastern Kentucky, I live in the Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio tri-state area in the Ohio Valley, and yeah, I mean, you can go look anywhere. If you look up anything about this area, one of the first things you'll see is the opiate crisis here, and the mess that we've had here. They've made documentaries about this place. Back in the day, whenever people were going to Florida to the pain clinics and stuff to get oxys and things, we had there's a little tri-state airport here that had a flight for $99 round trip to Broward County, and they called it the OxyContin Express, and
Wow.
they made documentary about that, and um, it's but it's not limited to here, of course. And although things have been bad here, it seems like these days it's spread to, it doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, or you live in a red state or a blue state, or anything else. It seems like almost everybody has been affected in some way by addiction, and
Yeah.
that poll I put in the chat there. I'll close that here in a little bit, and I would say that'll demonstrate about the same thing. It'll be close to 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, about the same time that those numbers took off here was whenever I had first gotten into a program and started to get cleaned up, and I had relapses and things after that, but
Yeah.
it wasn't. I was out of the game, so to speak, for the most part, and I think it probably it was around the same time I was really starting to like embrace atheist activism and stuff, or at least watch other people doing it too, and
Yeah.
so there was a lot of things going on that changed the way that I looked at everything, and you'll hear me say things sometimes like atheism may have saved my life, not because being an atheist somehow made me stop drugs, but I just viewed the world through a different lens, and that was really helpful for me during that time. But yeah, man, it's and also the sentiment of having so many friends and people I know that have passed due to overdose and addiction and things, whether it be alcohol or drugs. In my case, it's mostly fentanyl and opiates, but it's something that I know a lot about too. I tell my mom and family members and stuff whenever we speak, like, I have more dead friends than I do alive friends
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
days, and it's because of that we have talks like this, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a reason to sit down and talk about it, and awareness.
Yeah. And there's one thing I've noticed is that people that are not addicts have a hell of a time understanding what it is to be an addict. When you have an inside view of being an addict, I mean, they'll come on and say, "Well, why don't you just quit drinking, or why don't you just quit?" And it's
Yeah,
like, and that is an amazing, amazing phenomena, to have lived it from the inside and to know that I'm tearing my life apart and I'm really miserable. And the only time I was happy is when I was going to get drugs. You know, I was hardly happy for more than 15 minutes after I started taking the drug. It was
right.
only procuring it became my big thing. And I would go
The
through this whole
hustle.
thing and I would just wreck myself and fall
Yeah.
down into just like I would collapse physically and mentally and crash for 12 hours, and I'd wake up and it's like, I'm never going to do this again. And then 2 days later, this little bing would come on in my head. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to, I got some money. I'm going to go get some more. And then there'd be this choir, wait, like the little devil on the one shoulder and angel on the other. There'd be this little choir in the back of my brain trying to say no, and I'd like, shut up. and
Yeah.
and I just like, I'll talk to you after I get the drug. Then we'll discuss this, right? Like I'd say that to my inner self, right? It's like I'm not going to think about anything until I actually get the drug, and then I'll start thinking. And that's the way it was. And I'd start doing a drug, and then I'd be crying in my beer. And this cycle went over and over again. And my son asked me. So one night at 2 a.m., I was coming down from a 9-day coke trip, basically coke and vodka, and I was about to collapse, and I was crying. And I went up and I showed my son that I had no feeling on the left side of my body, and I could put a cigarette out in my arm without feeling it. And I was crying and saying I wanted to quit more than anything. And he said, "Why? Why don't you just quit?" And I said, "Dylan, I'm not going to be the same person 2 days from now at all. I'm going to be an entirely different person in 2 days, and I have no control over it at all. I cannot do anything about this drug addict coming back into my life 2 days in the future and getting me to use again. I can't fight him anymore. I can't fight him at all." And that was the last time I used, and that was 18 years ago. I came to this unbelievable realization that I was completely powerless, that I had no hope of recovery at all. No matter what I did, I went to AA meetings, they didn't stick, and I went back. And it was a really funny, extremely odd thing that I sobered up at all, because I was, I had plans
Yeah.
of how to deal with my end of life, and I had and I had no hope of recovery because I couldn't quit. I couldn't figure out how to quit this time. I mean, in the past, I'd gone to, I'd fallen apart and gone to a few AA meetings and sobered up for a couple of years, but this time I couldn't do it at all. And I'm like, I have no control over who I'm going to be in 2 days. And that realization was the most hopeless I've ever felt in my life, to where I have, there's nothing I can do. And it was a set of weird little circumstances that brought me to my knees, and sort of like, it didn't make any sense at all. My sister called me and said she was going to dial 911 and put me in the hospital if I didn't go to an AA meeting. And I said, "Oh my God, if you do that, I won't be able to get any cocaine in the
Right.
hospital, right?"
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I said, "Okay, Charles, I just need to get some sleep because I've been up for 9 days." And I had a little pile of cocaine, and I went and snorted the rest of it, just to make sure I had it all in my head, in my body. And then I passed out for 12 hours. And when I woke up, I was running this program that said I have to do this to appease my sister, or she'll call 911, put me in the hospital. So I went to this AA meeting, and when I walked out of that AA meeting, I knew for a fact that I was going to be sober for a week or more, or 2 or 3 weeks. I knew for a fact that something had happened to me where I had now had the power to actually quit for a couple of weeks. And I sat in my car, and practically in tears, because I'd been given this power, and I have no idea what it was. And it wasn't anything they said in the goddamn meeting. It had something to do with me walking through that door. And that was the beginning of my 18 years of sobriety, where I started sobering up. But anybody who knows an addict and is not an addict themselves, I hope you listen to what I just said in the last 10 minutes and have a little compassion for what that poor son of a bitch is going through. Because it ain't about willpower. It ain't something that they have the power to just shut off and do. And and that also leads to makes it kind of desperate. It's kind of, you realize how difficult it is to break that cycle and sober up for anybody. So
For sure.
anyway,
For sure.
what do you got to say?
Well, first of all, as for mentioning other people who know somebody that's dealing with it, we're at 12 votes in the chat, and it's 100% still. So,
Yeah.
what we expected, right?
Yeah.
My situation was, whenever you hear people tell their stories and stuff, they're all different, but the same, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The so My girlfriend and I had been using together, and we're both just completely strung out. I've shown pictures of me before where I was down to like 185 pounds, which is really
Yeah.
small for me, and I look like I'm dead at 185 pounds. The We had been using heroin, and it had gotten to the point we were the hustle you spoke of, like every day was wake up and go like shoplift $600-700 worth of stuff from Walmart
Yeah.
or Lowe's or wherever, get a gift card, take that to the pawn shop, and head to the dope man's house. And
Yeah.
we were getting to the point, like when we would hear people were overdosing and stuff, we would call up the people we knew in the game and be like, we want that dope that's killing everybody. Like we want that stuff because that's the best that's out there. And
Yeah.
just incredibly, like, now looking back on it, it's like, how did you not? How did you make it through it? And um, like you had said, though, it was like you do all the work, and you spend all day, you spend every waking hour hustling and trying to get in a position to get dope. You do the dope, and then 15 minutes later, you hate your life. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was kind of a thing, like we were just we were addicts, and we were struggling at the time. And so, like, when you've got a bill to pay and you've only got half the money to pay it, and it's like, rather than sit and worry about it, fuck it, go get high. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
and for me, it wasn't that it made me happy, it's that it made me not feel at all, like there was, it got rid of all that. And getting clean, that was the biggest challenge too, is you'll hear people say in groups and stuff, the hardest, worst part is you get your emotions back, and the best part is that you get your emotions back, and it's both those things. And like,
Yep.
um so it was a miserable way to live, and people were just dropping dead all around us, and still do. Just a couple days ago, a guy I graduated with, a person that had been a good friend at one time anyway. I kind of had to part ways with everybody that was involved in that stuff, but he, it was posted, his obituary was posted, he overdosed and passed away a couple days ago. And this is something that I see, it's gotten less often now because everybody's dead, but at the peak of it, it was multiple people a week that I knew. I would see their names in the newspaper or
Yeah.
online or whatever that had passed away. And it was actually my my son had just been born. Not my youngest Noah, but Jace, and he had just been born, and I was on the run from the cops for credit card fraud, and hiding out in the country working on a farm. And the my sister, I went to jail and got back out. I was out on bond and everything, and my sister was like, "Hey." She had became a Suboxone doctor because of her interest in it, because of her experience with me. And
Mhm.
so she said, "Hey, I'll pay for you to get started in this Suboxone program, and it's I'll cover you for the first couple months or whatever, and then you need to do it yourself." And that started, and so going into it, my plan was never to get clean. And I'm honest about this. A lot of people are like, "Well, I was doing this and wanted to change." I wanted to change, but I seen the Suboxone Clinic as an opportunity, because I was like, well, I can go get that and sell it and get dope, and
Yeah.
or I can, if I'm sick, I'll have that, and I don't have to worry about ever being sick again. And what happened is I would get it, and I would do exactly as I said, but along the way I would take some of it because didn't have any dope or whatever, and you can't go right back to using dope after that. So I would be like, well, I can't do it any more dope. I'll just take more Suboxone. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I kind of by necessity ended up kind of weaning myself off of the heroin a little bit. Um, and but it wasn't until about 3 years of being clean that like I just woke up one morning and was like, what the fuck have I been doing? And just had this epiphany
Yeah.
moment where I realized that part of my life was never going to be
That's
the
it.
same again. Yeah.
Yeah. That epiphany. That
Yeah.
there's like a moment like when my sister did that to me. My whole thinking was that if I go to the hospital, I can't use anymore. And somehow I ended up tricking myself into sobering up. It was like I didn't do it. It was like a trick that was played on my brain played on its. I don't know what happened,
Yeah.
but it's but
Yeah.
and there's a hell of a lot to be learned about that because there's for and this applies to other things besides just addiction in your life. There are these moments where all of a sudden you look at yourself with this new clarity and you say, what in the hell was I thinking? What was I
I mean,
thinking?
I woke up that morning and it was the first, it hit me like a train. It was like,
Yeah,
I woke up and as soon as I opened my eyes, there was just this realization of what, what have I been doing? And what,
right.
like, how did I get here? And just knowing that there was and it's weird because you would think it's like a gradual thing, but there was just this moment where I was like, yeah, I know I'll never do that again. Not like that anyway. And it's that was and like I said, that was like 3 years into being clean. Like I'd been clean for a while, and it's just it was a very one of the most important moments of my life, I think. And the you know it's difficult because so many people don't ever get to experience that, even if they want to.
Yeah,
Because there's only a couple outcomes that you have from dope, and it's you're either gonna end up dead or locked up somewhere. Like
yeah,
and I've done the locked up part, and I've overdosed multiple times, so like it was only a matter of time. And uh so I know now looking back on it, like if I ever decided to do, which if I ever did that again, it would be the end. Like I know that.
yeah,
I know that I wouldn't survive it. So it's um it's tough to see other people in different stages of that. And it's not just the individual either. Like sure, you have a person within a family who's burning bridges and all that all the time, and all that, but the family is affected as well, and a lot of times needs counseling themselves, and wouldn't hurt for them to go to a meeting or a group or something to
right.
really understand these things better. And on that note, if you look in the description of this video, and I'll post these on my Discord as well, but I've got a whole list of resources for individuals and families, whether you're dealing with alcohol or drug addiction. I've got links to a French guy named Gabor Mate, who explains the physical side of addiction and how it's not just a character fault or a choice. He is probably well known as the doctor, the professional who has the best understanding of physical addiction.
Yeah,
And but lots of resources there. There's several things. Um, Even if you're not personally dealing with these things, go check that stuff out and read a little bit about it. And I've got there's a couple links there that will take you to resources in your state if you're in the United States, to where you can uh, find things in your area or whatever if you need to. So, but all that
Yeah.
stuff's there if anybody's interested.
So Robin just posted I was addicted to making meth almost as much as doing it. Boy, do I relate to that. It
Sure
was so
thing.
much fun. It was so much fun to make that shit.
I was
So,
locked up in jail, and there would be people asleep on their bunk with a doing this with a pop bottle, like
oh,
making meth that way,
yeah,
like.
wow.
But
Uh, yeah, it's pretty amazing. But
it's it's a unique
yeah,
experience, but at the same time, like so many people are going through it and have gone through it.
yeah, God, I did so much, so much damage. So, like, I was sober when my kids were born, and well, then when they were 1 year old, me and the ex-wife fell off for a year while they were little infants, but then I was sober again until they were 14 years old, and then we were at the Mall of America, and we were at the Outback Steakhouse. I think it was no, it wasn't Outback. It was the Alamo, and I ordered a beer. I ordered a Heineken, and they said, "What are you doing? You're an alcoholic." Because I taught them the whole time they were growing up, about alcoholism, and told them that I was an addict and I couldn't drink. And I just out of the blue ordered a Heineken, and they said, "What's?" And I said, "Well, I figured it out. I'm not an alcoholic." And that set off like a 3-day binge where they got to see firsthand for the first time ever what Dad looked like drunk. And I know I threw the coffee pot at the wall, and I was fucking glugging NyQuil, and oh my God, it's horrible. And then I sobered up again until they were like 17, and then I really got into it until they were, I think, 18. I think it was about a year and a half. I sobered up for another year or two, and then I went at it for 5 years while they were in their early 20s. And I asked my son. My sons have never done drugs or alcohol or smoked, and they made that decision when they were teenagers. And I asked my son why, was it my education that I gave you, from 1 to 14, where I told you about alcoholism and drug addiction? He said, "No, Dad, it was the live demo you gave us."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the live demo was what did it for him, and it was that. Actually, they'd made that decision before, so it was a little of both. But it was kind of cool because I did give them a fucking live demo, and they got to see. And my son, in treatment, he wrote me a letter, and he said, "I watched the man that I respected more than anybody in the world, who I listened to and believed in. I watched him turn into a falling down idiot, running around with a gun in his mouth, quoting Shakespeare." and and he wrote this whole letter about watching me fall in his eyes from Superman dad to this asshole who he wanted to kill. And it was a letter that I got the letter somewhere in my papers. I'd love to read it again because it was one of those letters where you end up bawling your eyes out, when you read it. But holy shit! Anyway, uh, but this epiphany thing is a really important story in how people sober up. And Bill Wilson that started AA, he had one of those moments, and he had it as a result of a belladonna trip when he was in the hospital dying of alcoholism. And he had this complete epiphany, and he went on, and then he hooked up with a bunch of religious people, Christians and some Buddhists, like Carl Jung and some things like that. And they talked about this thing called a spiritual awakening. And that's what it is. A spiritual awakening, there's an actual neuroscientific basis for what happens to you. Like when you're under extreme stress, you break down to the point where your entire brain, like all the neurotransmitters, get all fucked up, and you end up with a temporal lobe meltdown. That's a lot like epilepsy. And then all of a sudden, you can use your brain to look at yourself in a very different way in this epiphany. And it was like, oh, the light came on just all of a sudden. And your brain does that every day in very minor ways. But there is some real neuroscientific basis to that. And this is something that we could actually do with either electricity or drugs to people, where we could
Yeah.
actually make those changes. And we're just coming to realize, what all that is. But anyway, so Bill Wilson went on and started this 12-step program, and it became an interplay of Christians and Native Americans and a whole bunch of other people, and they came up with these 12 steps. And those 12 steps were absolutely inspired because they are sort of a pathway for repairing your life, sort of, when you
Yeah.
look at them. And they're
Yeah.
often very misunderstood because of the phrase, God as you understand them. And they
Mhm.
don't quite know what that means. What that means for the most part is getting out of your own way and letting go of your ego to the
Yeah.
point where you're willing to take help from outside, and you're willing to say, I can't do this no more, you do it for me, and take advice from somebody else. And that's
That
really a
that was
neat moment.
that was really my hang up with AA and NA was the
The
um,
God thing.
higher power stuff.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
and like I said earlier, though, whatever works for a person is what's best for them. Like whatever gets you off that shit, I support you doing 100%. It it for me, I had a lot of problems with it. Whenever I first got into those groups, I was in a halfway house. I just gotten out of prison. The uh, I was there, and I wasn't there for the right reasons, and there was this whole, like, there was so many people that were court ordered and made to go to those groups and stuff that it was like, go get your paper signed and we'll party afterwards, and it was just
Yeah.
it was a bad situation that I'd put myself in. It wasn't so much a problem with the program itself, it was the program where I was at taking it was my problem. And
Yeah.
medicated assisted treatment happened to be the thing that was better for me, just because
Yeah.
of where I was at, and
Yep.
I'm a big supporter of that, and I in fact, anybody that is dealing with opiate addiction or whatever now, if you need in a medicated assisted treatment program, I can hook you up with one that's all over the country, that you do over the internet. You don't have to ever go anywhere. If that's what you need. Uh, I have a lot of resources for different things like that. I've worked with a lot of different groups. Well, I haven't worked with groups. I've been part of different groups where helped people get into rehabs or whatever it is they need, detoxes and things like that, and talked a lot on this subject at different times to people. Told my story to a lot of people and things, and so if any of you out there, even if you just need somebody to talk to, you can message me. I don't care who you are. I don't.
Yeah.
Like if you need to talk to someone, message me. I'll talk to you. And I'm up almost
Yeah.
24 hours a day, so you can message me anytime.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I agree with you 100%, Mike. I think that we're on the same page with all that stuff. Now, what you were talking about there, the medical research and stuff into it, that
Yeah.
guy Gabor Mate that I've linked down there in the
Yeah.
description,
Yeah.
I cannot recommend him enough. Like,
I'll check him
just
out.
it will blow your mind watching his seminars and stuff. It's so well done, and he just explains it well. And I think he's a neuroscientist of some sort. He's a French guy, and just an amazing, amazing dude. Has a YouTube channel with all kinds of videos and stuff of him explaining different aspects of addiction, and it's
I'll
just a
check
really
him
good
out.
educational piece.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The thing is, like, okay, I came from, I'm the hardest atheist you will ever meet. I
mhm,
mean, I believe that gods are absolutely impossible. I don't, I mean, I just have nothing, and I've never been any kind of a theist in my entire life.
yeah,
But I had an experience when I was 15 years old that led me to Buddhism, and they call it psychological Buddhism, but it's basically a psychology thing, right? And there are programs in Buddhism for changing your life. And when I got into AA when I was 24 years old, AA was something for my dad, not me, right? They
Yeah.
threw my ass into treatment and they introduced me to AA, and I read those 12 steps, and I never reacted to the God word at all because I knew exactly what they were talking about. They weren't talking about God. They were talking about letting go of my own ego, about this understanding that I am an organism in the world and
Yeah.
I'm not it. I am not God,
It
basically that.
yeah, I think it was just another part of accepting your own inferiority to
Right.
the thing that you've engaged
Well,
in. You know.
not inferiority, but accepting your own, what you actually are capable of, and what you're actually in control of.
Yeah.
We tend to think we're in control of a hell of a lot more than we are, and it's really good to slap ourselves in the head once in a while and say, "No, you're not in control of. You're in control of very little. I can raise my hand, and that's about it." You know.
Yeah.
and and those understandings, so anyway, so I never reacted to the AA program, and I ended up incorporating all of these psychological principles from Zen Buddhism, which is a non-deistic religion. It doesn't have anything supernatural about it, and I ended up incorporating all that stuff, and it became really powerful for me, and it still is. And I can take the entire 12 steps and show you what they're really about in terms of our psychology and in terms of what happens to us when we're transforming our lives. And so it doesn't bother me when I go to a meeting and I hear somebody talking about God. I'll get up there and I'll use the word God, and they'll come up to me after the meeting and like this one guy came up to me after I talked, and he said, "You really renewed my faith in God." And I looked at him and I said, I'm an atheist." And he was very confused because, but it was kind of interesting. But when it comes to alcoholism, atheist, theist, that shit don't matter. What matters
No.
is staying alive.
Yeah.
Fucking giving up. And I mean, if the word God offends you so much that you have to leave the meeting, then you're not at the meeting for the right reason.
Yeah.
You're there to fucking sober up. You're not there to, do a YouTube atheist battle, right? So, right?
Yeah.
It's
I
like,
can
yeah,
imagine debating
you
God at
got it
one of
wrong. You know,
those.
yeah, you just crawled out of fucking jail and detox and handcuffs, and your wife's leaving you, and you got fired, and you look like shit, and your heart is beating 500 times a minute, and you come in and it's like, oh, I don't think these philosophical principles are quite to my liking. It's like,
Yeah.
who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
so there's a bit of humility in it to just lay
Oh,
down and
absolutely.
listen, right? Yeah. Anyway,
Humility and accountability, I think, are the two things that were
yeah,
my biggest
yeah,
takeaway from it. Being accountable for the things that you've done,
yeah.
and whether good or bad, because a lot of times addicts in recovery struggle with taking accountability for the good things they've done
Good
too.
things in your life
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
and
yeah.
like whenever you've been clean for whether it's 24 hours or 2 years or whatever, you need to take accountability that you did that, and you're able to. You're no longer powerless over this thing that you've managed to take some control back of your life, and that you're able to do it, and you're able to get control of this thing, and to at least manage it. And there's a lot of that accountability comes with acceptance of who you are and where your weaknesses are and what your triggers are, and things like that. Like triggers were never a big thing for me, but for a lot of people they are. I only experienced that once, but um,
Yeah.
it's you really have to get in touch with yourself, and sometimes that's not a pleasant trip, but the destination is worth it, even if it doesn't have this big life transformation thing. I remember setting in groups and stuff whenever I was like real early in the program. And me and Laura did this together. We were addicts together and used. We both got clean together, and we stayed clean together. We've been together for 12 years now, and most couples aren't able to do that. It's very rare that a couple makes it through using and then being clean and staying together. And
Yeah, that's a
that's
tough
why,
one. That's a tough one. Yeah.
yeah, that's why you'll always hear me speak so highly of her, because there's nobody else that could have done that with
Yeah.
me. And I think she feels the same. There's nobody else that could have done that with her. And the the things that you have to learn about yourself and stuff, it's tough. It really is. You learn some scary things, and you find at your deepest, darkest rock bottom what you're capable of. And it's a really hard thing to see, but you have to do it if you really want to get away from that. And the only way to get away from it is to really want to get away from it. Um, you can't make somebody go through recovery. You can't you can't make yourself go through it because your mom wants you to get clean, or whatever. Like, you have to want to get off that stuff
Yeah.
at some point, and whether it be alcohol or drugs or whatever. I will say this about alcohol, though. I don't have any struggles with alcohol to this day. Well, I drink maybe like 2 beers a year or something, but like um, alcohol was just never a thing that really caused me a lot of
Yeah.
trouble. But for so many, it is. And one of the alcohol, to be the legal one, first of all,
I
is
know.
is one of the roughest things I've seen people go
It's
through.
one of the worst drugs there is.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a,
I've detoxed off of methadone and heroin and uh, oxys and several other things, and I would do all those 10 times over before I would go through the things
yeah.
I see people do on alcohol. Alcohol's scary. Um,
Yeah.
and a lot of times addicts who were opiate addicts or whatever and alcoholics, they kind of have trouble relating on things. And I was that way early on. Like, I felt like alcoholism was a different thing. But
Yeah. Not
over
really, but
no, it's not. It's the
yeah.
same shit.
Yeah.
Over time, it took me time to realize that, but it was just because it was something that I didn't experience. Like those who have been, meth addicts or alcoholics or whatever, and never struggled with opiates, may not be able to understand my experience with opiates. And
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
it really requires you to do some introspection and to get to know yourself in ways that you may not like. But that accountability at the end of the day is what is to me the most important thing you learn, and that's why faith-based programs kind of scare me, um,
Yeah.
because they allow you to put accountability in other places, and I think that's dangerous for someone who's getting clean.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's not AA.
no,
AA.
not AA.
Yeah.
I'm
The
talking about
fourth
the
through the ninth
rehabs
steps are
through
pretty serious
treatment.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm talking about these rehabs that are faith based, and I've wanted for years
Oh
to
God.
do a
There's
full
one.
length documentary on these places, because
Oh,
I know how
Teen.
dangerous they are, having been through it.
What is it called? Teen Spirit, the one that started here in Minneapolis, I think, or it's really prevalent in Minneapolis. They make you write down your sins because
Yeah.
they say the reason you drink is because of your sins, and
Mm.
they have this religious purging that goes on, and it
Hmm.
started out for young kids, right? Because teenagers are a captive audience when their parents put them in, they can't get out. And this is like the worst organization I have ever heard of. And I know of countless people that have come out of that and fell right in their ass immediately.
Yeah.
And it's just horrible. But if you ever want to do like, I'd like to do some more research on it and talk about Teen Spirit and how shitty they are. And the other thing I saw is Waverly,
Jurors saying
Minnesota.
teen challenge.
What's that? Oh, Teen
Ain't
Challenge.
jurors
Yeah, yeah,
teen
not
challenge. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, Teen Challenge. I'm sorry. Thank you, Hunter. Uh, anyway, in Waverly, Minnesota, they have a big treatment center where Eric Clapton went. In
Yeah.
fact, Eric Clapton was the reason why we couldn't use the boat anymore on the lake, because he took the boat and went off to a bar across the lake. And it's in Hubert Humphrey. I don't know if you know who Hubert Humphrey is, but in his summer house, right? He ran
Okay.
for president at one point.
Hmm.
And that place, they had a whole treatment center for adults. That was one thing. And they had a teen treatment center that was the most abusive shit I've ever seen in my life. And
Yeah.
I ended up leaving 2 weeks into treatment because I couldn't stand what they were doing to the teenagers there. And they
Yeah.
had them as a captive audience. And anyway, there's a lot of that shit going on where parents
Well,
will use their power over their kids to put them in some abusive holes. So
yeah. What
anyway,
locally we have a couple different outfits that are faith based, and the courts are actually placing people in those programs. And what happens is they have these really strict religious outline rules where
yeah,
it's you have to show up at 1 o'clock in this place for prayer. Your shirt
yeah,
has to be tucked in. You have to tell on each other a certain amount of times
right,
for things.
yeah,
Just all this stuff. And if you fail one of those, they kick you out in the street on your ass. And
yeah,
for a
yeah,
drug addict, especially like someone who was using heroin or fentanyl or whatever, they've been clean for a while. You kick them out on their ass, they go use and they die. And
yeah,
these places here have a body count, and I want to expose that. And uh,
yeah,
but I've never done it because I want to do it the right. I want to do it the right way and put out like something of quality that people can really understand and see, because I think it's so important.
yeah,
I've wanted to do this since before I made the first video on this channel, and
yeah,
I just never got to doing it. But
yep,
I've kind of held out and waited to see how this goes and things, and hopefully at some point I can get some quality equipment and stuff to video this and do the interviews and do it in a professional way. But I will do it as long as I live long enough. So,
yeah,
but the there's a lot of programs out there that are dangerous, and it's not just faith based ones. There's other ones too. There's other ones that are
yeah,
just fancy drug dealers and whatever,
yeah, yeah,
but I think that again, like AA was not for me, but I don't if it works for anybody else, I do it by all means. It's an option that's
yeah.
out there, and if you think if you think that's the right thing for you, do it. I mean,
Well, I go to a meeting every Thursday, and it's a secular AA meeting,
yeah,
and we a bunch of Christians left our meeting because they were pissed off at us because we kept saying we were atheists.
hmm,
And that's fine. Every meeting is autonomous. You develop your own program. And we didn't want to say the Lord's Prayer at the end of the meeting, and
yeah,
we voted it out. And another 2, 3 people left. So now there's only 3 of us. So if anybody out there wants a very good recovery AA meeting that is completely psychological, has nothing to do with religion and God, uh, reach out to me, and I can bring you into our meeting. We need more people. We're getting tired of listening to the 3
mm,
of us, but every week we get together and we do some really important talking about what's going on with us, right? Just like like in the last week in Minneapolis, we've had a little bit of drama, and
yeah, a little bit.
I had trouble handling it, and I just came out at the meeting and said, I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know what to do, and you show like, and then we have a discussion, and the discussion ends up making you feel like you've learned something or something has opened up, and it's just wonderful. And then on Tuesday I go to a psychedelic recovery meeting where there are God people, unfortunately, but it's about how to recover with psychedelics. So that's a
Yeah,
totally different. AA hates that shit, even though Bill Wilson did
yeah,
LSD for like a month out in California. He went on like 10 trips out there in California, but they don't want to admit that. But so that's another aspect of it. But now the important thing about this spiritual awakening that I want to point out to people, and this is an odd thing. When you accept that there is something physical that happens to you that's called a spiritual awakening, you can start to understand why people get wrapped into religion and start believing weird bullshit.
Absolutely.
Okay? There's a psychological thing that happens to people, and it's a feeling, this expansive feeling of all of a sudden you can see clearly. And and if somebody's pushing Jesus at you when you have that feeling, you're going to be like the goose that hatches, the little gosling hatches out of the egg, and the first thing he sees is his mom. They'll follow it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a spiritual experience when you're being exposed to religion, you will bind to whatever that is, right? And in my case, I've had 3 or 4 major spiritual awakenings in my life, and never once was it ever associated with religion. The first one
Yeah.
was associated with Zen Buddhism, and I bound to it for life. I mean, I became a lifelong addict of this Zen sort of thing. But anyway, that is what's behind religion. These psychological states that human that we get into that we never talk about. It's 2026, and we're still stupid about our brains and what our
Yeah.
brains are capable of doing, right? We still think our brains are like computers or spirit minds or something like that. No, it's made of meat. You're made of meat. Your brain's made of meat, and you got to figure out how that meat works, and then
Yeah.
you can understand a whole lot about addiction and what's going on. Because
Yeah.
addiction is really, the dopamine. I don't know if this guy talks about dopamine, but
Oh yeah, yeah.
that,
No.
yeah,
He does
yeah,
a whole big thing about it. Um,
yeah,
and he spends a lot of time talking about as you go through your active addiction, how your brain physically changes and
yeah,
what the result of that is, and how you get these dopamine hits, but then later on you end up lacking them because of the abuse that's going on there, and it's no, no. I mean, really, really, really good stuff.
yeah.
Can explain addiction.
It
Go ahead.
takes 3 years for your serotonin system to start working properly again after you've been on drugs for a long period of time. Any
Yeah.
kind of drug that messes with your dopamine system
Mhm.
will affect your depression for 3 years. So you got 3 years of dealing with climbing back out of the hole that you put yourself in. So that can be a bitch.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
Uh, what you were talking about though, like people who get hyper focused on these one things. I've seen a lot of people who have been placed in programs out of like jails and stuff, and the next time you see them on Facebook or in real life, they're all this by the grace of God and Jesus stuff, and they're just
yeah,
every time you see them, all they're going on about is Jesus. And some of these people who I had been friends with in the past, I stopped and said, "Hey, you know, did you ever think that maybe it's important that you accept accountability for you getting clean and not give it to God that God did it? Because then
yeah,
whenever you relapse or fail or whatever, you're going to place that somewhere else, and you're not able to take accountability for your own actions. And I think that it can be it's not necessarily, but it can be a dangerous way uh, to get clean, because a lot of times getting clean includes relapses and things, and I think there's a lot of danger in those relapses by putting all the accountability on another figure, whether it be God or anything else for that matter. um, and I think like whenever we go back to the spiritual or the higher power part of AA, um, I think it's a misuse of that is what happens. People get to that
yeah.
part, and that's a big step. And the what is that, like step 4? And
The
they get
inventory
there.
step 3 is the turn your will and your life over to God as you understand them.
Okay, so
Yeah,
so
and that's just about acceptance, and that's about the ego dissolution. But
Right, and I think
Yeah.
sometimes that's misunderstood to a point to where it's misused in a way that means that
Well,
everything's in this other figure.
it's
Uh,
really interesting, but in Minnesota, it is not okay to say Jesus at meetings. It is not okay to start talking about your religion and talking too much about God. But people will use the word, and they'll make like single phrases because they're still primarily Christians. We're still 60% or 70%. But it's not okay to start talking about Jesus. But something interesting I've noticed in meetings is when you get a new person that comes in, if they get into the religious aspect of it and they say, "Oh, I started going to Bible study on Wednesdays, so I can't go to the AA meeting on Wednesdays because I'm going to Bible study." I swear, within 2 months, they'll be drunk on their ass again.
yeah, yeah,
They get hyper into this religion part of it, and they totally miss the point of
hmm
AA. But it's probably like I went to meetings in Ohio, and they weren't particularly religious, the ones I went to. But in Kentucky, I can imagine that overly religious AA meetings
oh,
are a big thing.
yeah. I've been to a
And
few.
yeah, it depends on what area of the country you're in.
So
I mean, there is a whole, yeah,
when I was at the halfway house, you had to go to every meeting that they had locally there. Like if there was a meeting you could walk to, they made you go to it.
yeah,
And sometimes they would take you there, but usually they just made you walk.
yeah,
But so we went to meetings in churches that took place in the basement of churches and stuff, and a lot of those were hyper religious, both NA and AA. I had we went to meetings at a place called Pathways. I don't know if you've heard of Pathways, but
no.
there's Pathways is a like a mental health
Oh,
facility,
yeah, I have. Yeah,
and they so we went to ones there, and those were a little more secular. Those were the bigger meetings, but
yeah,
the ones that we went to that were in the churches and stuff there locally, some of those were a little wild, uh, and a lot
yeah,
of praying and all that stuff and everything. And it
yeah.
different strokes for different folks. It's just whatever
Yeah,
works.
I really want to take AA in a secular direction. Right before COVID, I started a secular meeting over at our club here, our Eleanor Club. And unfortunately, we had to cancel it for COVID. But it's really hard to find regular, like there's one or two secular meetings in Minneapolis. And Christ, there should be 50 of them, right? And it's like, uh, I really wish people would take the program and recut it basically, and take take the God out of it. Basically, is what we need to do. AA doesn't like that. They'll allow you to have secular meetings. They only ask that you keep God as you understand them, but other than that, they will promote your meeting if you're secular. Uh, but we really need to work on a secular recovery meeting because you know what's really cool about AA is any city I ever landed in, I could find 20 AA meetings that night, right? And I could always find support, every place I went. So that was pretty important to me. I mean, I'm really quite taken with AA.
No, no, and I think that's great. I don't,
Yeah,
while whenever I say that it wasn't for me and that I had this problem and that problem with it, it's not to say that those are wrong. It's just not what was. It
yeah,
just didn't hit me the right way at the time, and so I went a different way. Now, if after I had gotten into the other programs or whatever, and then I would have went back to that, I think I would have had a better time with it, and a
yeah,
better understanding of it. But
yeah,
I just wasn't there at the time. I wasn't ready for it, and
yeah, yeah.
it
But
was a me thing.
you talked about this accountability, basically, or going back through your life and figuring out what you are accountable for, both good and bad. And that is a big part of that recovery process. So it's
Oh,
the same
absolutely.
thing happening in different ways. And maybe we need some alternatives that do a really good job of that. But unfortunately, none of them have taken off to the point where you can go to any town in the U.S. and find a meeting, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we need. We need to take this goddamn country back away from the religious.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing so much damage. Even getting into this whole thing where you think God is going to sober you up can be devastatingly wrong and bad.
Yeah.
And they keep screwing things up with religion, and it's just a goddamn shame. It's a damn
Yeah,
shame.
no, I agree completely, and it's religion likes to get involved in all these different things and try to and this is a grift for them for the most part, but the they like to get involved in all these different things, and it happens that this one they're just playing with something really dangerous, and it's costing people
Yeah,
their lives.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so I have mixed feelings about some of the religious recovery programs, but at the same time, like if it gets you clean and you stay off
If it
drugs, then
works, yeah,
I'm happy you did it. Still, I mean,
yeah,
I still have that feeling, but I think if you look at the numbers and the evidence, which one of the links I included was to SAMHSA, which is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, uh, and whenever you get to looking at some of their figures and things on it, and some of the stuff from another place called ASAM, the American Society of Addiction Medicine. Um, Now, the ASAM carries a lot of the statistics and stuff on the success rates of these different programs, and you see a lot of these religious based programs not only have poor success rates, but they have high death rates of people that are in the
yeah,
program.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's not just my opinion that these things are dangerous. There's evidence to support that, and
yeah,
it's like you said, it's just unfortunate that's where we're at, and um, just like uh, there's a good reason to keep religion out of politics. This is another area that religion needs to just
Stay the
stay
hell
away
out
from.
of. Yeah,
Go do your religious thing somewhere else, whatever. I don't even care, but like you need to
yeah,
stay away from this. But
yep.
yeah, I pulled up some. I'll show you some, and I've probably showed you some of these before, but for the audience sake too, I guess I'll show you some pictures real quick. Um, so that's me on the left there, and let me see if I can go back here and what's that look like over here? Yeah, that's me on the left there. Um, this is my friend Ryan. He died on Easter a few years ago, and his dad found him. He went out to go get him for Easter dinner, and found him out in a camper with a needle in his arm, dead. And
Good.
this other guy here, I don't. He's not dead. He recently just got clean, but I'd been also locked up with him a number of times during all this. But that's me. And I know I may not look tiny to some people, but I was skin and bones there. I was really unhealthy. And the uh, you can see my face a little better in this one, that I'm just
Yeah,
not well.
not well. Yeah,
And let's see. Here's
I got a
me.
picture. I got a picture somewhere when I was 57 years old, and I look 20 years older than I look now.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, no, I looked terrible, and
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah.
but
You don't look well.
and let's see. No, Here's before I was really strung out, but I mean, you can see I was younger there.
Oh, you went offline. You're back.
But let's see. There was another picture specifically on the show. Um, Here I am. I tried to go do. Let's see if it clears up. You can, the picture's kind of blurry, but I try to go do things
You dropped out again.
completely trashed and
Oh,
just not
I see.
there for it. The But yeah, all of these things, if you're, I don't hide these things. I'm very upfront about my experiences and the things that I've done and stuff. And
Yeah,
so if you want to go, anybody that wants to see this, you can go over to my Facebook. It's spinning through chat there, and you
yeah,
can go over and look at my photos and see that part of my life. And it was that was early on in it too. That wasn't even the worst part of it. That was early in my addiction. But
yeah.
I oh, that brings me to something else I want to talk about. Oh shit. Um,
What's up?
this is Narcan, naloxone. Uh, I keep
Oh,
these
excellent.
around,
Oh,
and
really? Okay.
this is it's a well, it's having problems.
Yeah, it won't show it. It's mad at it because
Anyway, this is a nasal spray naloxone, and there's two of them in a box, and this is a prescription thing. But you can there's resources, and one of the things I posted that goes by state, you can get fentanyl test strips, and you can get a box of this if you have people that are using opiates or fentanyl or heroin or whatever. It's in the it's labeled in the thing here. Let me see what it's called real quick so I can quit rambling about it. Um, uh, Next Distro, nextdistro.org/naloxone, and you select your state, and you can fill out a thing, and they'll mail you this. And
okay.
this stuff saves people's lives. Uh, if you're around people who are opiate users and stuff, I really recommend having
Yeah,
some of that handy. There's also a link in there to getsmartaboutdrugs.gov, and it's not just a pill identifier, but it also like shows you street drugs and the different ways they can look and how they're packaged and all that stuff. And so if you have a family member that's done something and you should happen to find them unresponsive with drugs or whatever, you would know what it is, and
yeah,
better be prepared to take whatever action, because unfortunately when you have friends and family that use those things, it's a reality that they may well overdose at some point. I did it
yeah.
twice, so
And these
but yeah,
assholes they're even putting fentanyl in LSD and MDMA, and
anything
it's
anything
like what are they thinking? I mean, it's just like ew. And then what really irritates me about drug dealers, like big time drug dealers that mix the drug, like they'll mix fentanyl. If you mix a cut with a powerful drug, right? If you got 100% drug,
yeah.
you have to mix that for many hours before it's consistent.
Oh
And
sure.
what they do is they'll stir it, with a spoon, and then you end up with these hot spots, and the
Yep.
hot spots will kill you just like that.
Yep.
And that's what
So
happens. You can't trust because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
So fentanyl has several different derivatives, and there's like carfentanil, which is generally
Yeah,
used to kill elephants and shit. Like
yeah,
um, a speck of that, like and I'm talking like the size of a grain of salt is enough to kill multiple people. And
yeah,
whenever, like Mike said, whenever they try to cut the drugs with this stuff, it has hot spots in it, and that's what leads to people dying.
yep,
And sometimes it's a whole batch of it. They've just put too much in it, and
yeah,
it kills everybody that uses it. And the with this with this naloxone, sometimes it's not enough, but the idea is that whenever you find someone overdosed, you try to wake them up, and then you give them the first dose, and then you call 911, and then you go back and give them another dose. And there's two doses in each sprayer, so there's actually, it says or it's 4 milligrams, one per spray. And so you this is enough though to try and keep them until till the ambulance or whatever arrives, because you can give this to someone and they'll come out of the overdose and be talking to you, but then they'll overdose again without using
yeah,
any more drugs, because this wasn't
yep,
enough to to overpower the receptors that had picked up the opiates.
yeah.
And like I said, I did medicated assisted treatment, and naloxone is in Suboxone. So Suboxone gives you a little bit of a an opiate drug, opiate like drug, and then it also gives you the naloxone at the same time. And what happens with that is it binds to like 99% of the receptors. So that combination does. And if you try to
Okay,
use any other opiates, it'll block them because there's no more receptors for that to bind to. So
yeah,
it prevents you from overdosing. It takes things like fentanyl to get over naloxone. Fentanyl is stronger than naloxone. You can take naloxone all day long and still get high on fentanyl because it overpowers it.
yeah,
But again, medicated assisted treatment, I don't think that's for everybody. But it just happened to be the thing that was best for me, because it didn't just put me in a program where I'm learning this accountability and learning about myself and getting off the drugs, but it also, there was a barrier keeping me from being able to go the other direction. And I needed that. Like, I needed that structure in
yeah.
for me, but maybe other people don't, or whatever, or maybe, and a lot of people don't think very highly of medicated assisted treatment, and that's okay. Like, I'll hear people say, all you're doing is replacing one drug with another drug, and
No,
whatever. Well, here's the thing: that drug that I replaced heroin with, the Suboxone, that let me go get a job and be a functional part of society and
yeah.
care for my family and do the things I needed to do that I couldn't do while I was on opiates. So,
They're doing a good job of that in the UK, I think, aren't they? Where they'll put people on what is that substitute for heroin? Uh, is it methadone? Is
oh,
that?
methadone, yeah, methadone,
Yeah, yeah. And they manage to get them on a maintenance dose, and they keep them there,
yeah.
and they can live a perfectly normal life. And it's like, yeah, this is a goddamn disease, and if you can find a drug to treat the disease that works, then that's the whole point of medicine, right? Is to try to basically do it. That's
Yeah.
but
Uh, Scott asked in the chat there, even though you're in recovery, do the cops still hassle you? They did for a number of years, but that's kind of
leave you alone. Yeah,
yeah, that's as more time went by, because I've been clean for like 10 years now, over 10 years now, and um, the more time I put in between that, the less they were saying my name and they forget who I am and whatever. So not so much anymore, but for a while it was a problem.
yeah,
But
yeah. And let's see. Do you mind talking about psychedelics for a moment?
Yeah, go for it. I like this
Okay.
topic actually. I'm very interested in this.
Okay. So there's and they're doing research on this, and then there's a whole bunch of anecdotal evidence that if you're in that addiction cycle, a heavy psychedelic dose can give you that temporary spiritual experience. And here's how it manifests itself: is you'll do. I'll give you an example. I did a macro trip on psilocybin, and I started thinking about coffee. And me and my son take I don't know, like a quarter of a pound per cup of coffee beans, and make a cup of coffee. And we had this whole like thing built up, that we're really, us Bruce really like strong coffee and all that shit, and so it was kind of like a cultural meme. And I did one dose of psychedelics, and I looked at that behavior, and I thought, why are you fucking doing that? It's like what is with your this adhering to your image of yourself, right? As a heavy, powerful coffee drinker. And so I cut my dose down to about 1/4 of what it was, and I'm fine. And it was like
Yeah.
in a trip, right? And this can happen with people that are stuck in a using cycle that they can't get out of. One heavy dose will allow you to look at your life in a different perspective for just an hour or so, and you'll come away with the power to change your life, basically.
Yeah.
And it applies to a number of things that you want to change. And this is, and then of course psychedelics. We go all the way back to Nixon in the '70s, and with the war on drugs and the war on LSD and the war on, psilocybin. And there's just a lot of bullshit going on, but people are starting to sober up and come to accept it as that's why Bill Wilson was out in California, because his dream was to have a drug that you could basically cure alcoholism with,
Yeah.
one and done,
Yeah.
basically. And so it's an amazing experience, and I encourage anybody who is in the position where you're dying of addiction to at least try it out and see what happens to you.
I
I don't know.
I think that I think that psychedelics right now are on like the cutting edge of addiction research, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's a newer thing, and it seems to be really effective for a number of people who go through. There's therapy programs for it, and there's some
yeah,
people who do it themselves or whatever. But um, I, I'm always one of the things that gets a lot of people into addiction is self-medicating their self for things like
yeah,
you're dealing with depression, and so you go do opiates so you don't deal with it, and it's like
yeah,
so at the very least I do encourage people to at least have a discussion with a professional before they um, go down that road. But it seems to
oh
be
yeah, get
very
a
effective,
therapist.
and the numbers for it are pretty incredible, actually. It seems like psychedelic therapy is changing a lot of people's lives, and like I said earlier, whatever works for you is 100% the right thing for you, and it'll save your life. And if it does that, I can't say anything bad about it for sure. Not that I would. I
Yeah,
used to take a lot of psychedelics recreationally. I never did it
yeah,
for part of recovery, and I haven't since I've been clean.
yeah,
I went back to smoking weed, but that's a different thing.
yeah,
The
yeah. If you do want to use psychedelics to change your life, there are a lot of psychedelic therapists out there, or therapists that will help you and guide you. They can't be with you on trips in most states because that's illegal yet,
Yeah,
but they can talk to you for the next days, and you can and I use a psychedelic therapist to deal with my with the thing that was afflicting me, which was grief and depression. And I worked with a therapist hand in hand, so it wasn't just me, doing rocket ship psychedelics by myself. I had
yeah,
guidance, and I strongly recommend that. So
yeah, yeah.
anyway,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that uh, the I've watched a couple documentaries about the use of psychedelics for drug treatment,
And
and it's
PTSD. Yeah.
yeah, and, like even
Yeah.
smoking, and I mean, at least in those, it seemed to be pretty effective for
Yeah.
a large number of people. I had a bad reaction to ketamine.
Oh, that shit.
Yeah,
I don't know
I
about
had a
that.
motorcycle wreck and broke my wrist, and they didn't want to. They put me on ketamine to set it, a huge dose of ketamine, because that way you're just so whacked out you don't feel the pain, and that decreases
You don't
inflammation.
care about the pain. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and they don't have to keep an eye on your airway and stuff with ketamine, where they do with something
Yeah.
like fentanyl or whatever.
Yeah.
And so uh, they I had a horrible time with that, and so I'm a little weary of that particular program. But again, like, if it works for you, whatever, just
Yeah.
make sure you're consulting with a professional that
Yeah.
knows what's
And
up.
ketamine has it has an addictive side to it,
Sure.
whereas psilocybin and LSD don't.
Yeah.
So they're a little better. MDMA is also sort of semi-addictive, and I
Yeah.
don't recommend ketamine, MDMA, or DMT. If you're going to do it, stick with something safe like psilocybin. Psilocybin's about the safest of all of them. Absolutely no addiction to psilocybin. It's not possible. And LSD would be the next best or safest thing to do. DMT, ketamine, and MDMA
Yeah.
are a little bit dangerous, so
Yeah.
I don't recommend them. I don't know.
Uh,
Um,
you're John Hudson. Are you getting hit with a lot of ads? I don't
ads,
adjust the ad
really?
frequency on here.
They give
So
you ads in the middle of a live stream?
yeah. So you'll get them no matter what. But whenever a channel is monetized, you can adjust the frequency of those ads, less or
Hmm.
more or whatever. And I haven't messed with it, but I'll go look at it, and I'll turn those down, because ad revenue isn't shit anyway. I'll go turn those down so it's not doing that so often. I didn't know that was a problem, uh, but I'll look into it. Thanks for letting me know, John.
Yeah.
But but yeah, man, I think that I agree with you that some of those drugs you have to be careful. Like, it's not all psychedelics are equal, which I'm sure
Yeah,
if
you
you
got to
said,
be careful with all of them because
yeah,
what you're doing is you're taking your mind and you're throwing it. Like if you imagine your mind is this little pile of snow, you're
yeah,
grabbing that pile of snow and throwing it up in the air,
yeah,
and you got to sort it when it comes down. So none of this shit is for. Uh, uh, you
faint of
have to
heart.
consider, yeah, consider what you're doing because
The
they are powerful, powerful drugs.
I've always said, if you're going to do if you're going to use psychedelics, the most important thing is your mindset going into it.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you're going to bring some of that baggage with you, and and so you need to be like in a good mood, feeling positive and ready to do it, and all that. If you go into it in a dark place, you're going to have a dark experience, like
yeah. And if you've never done it before, you don't have to do a ton of it the first time. You can start out with a microdose and step up and figure
yeah,
out what you're dealing with until you get your feet on, and then you'll be okay. So I
yeah,
mean that because it can screw some people up, and then if you have a pre-existing condition
yeah.
like schizophrenia or something like that, it can be very dangerous. And you
So
could still do it, but I would recommend a physician for that. So,
where I've got an artificial heart valve, I hear every beat tick in my head,
oh
and
wow,
so I'm kind of scared of psychedelics now, because I think that would mess with me real bad,
yeah,
and so I haven't messed with them since I got the artificial heart valve.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, every beat of my heart, I hear like a ticking clock in my head, no
No
matter how
shit.
loud the outside noise is.
Well, that freaked me out because my heart is irregular as hell.
Well, and like when I'm in my bedroom going to bed, my girlfriend can hear it. Like you
Yeah.
can hear it when you're in a room with me. I tick like a clock.
You know what's weird? I've got a water bed. I'm one of the last hippies who has a water bed.
Mm,
When I'm laying on the water bed, if I lay in a certain position, my heartbeat will expand my muscles enough that I can feel it moving.
yeah,
It moves the water bed a little bit.
that's
So I
neat.
start, and I can't fall asleep until I get rid of it. I got to get in the right position to get rid of that because it drives me up the wall. It's like I do not want to hear my heart.
Yeah. Well, it used to bother Laura like the constant ticking. It took a while to get used to. It took a while for me to get used to it.
Yeah, yeah,
And whenever I first woke up from the surgery, the first thing I heard was that ticking, and I was like, it it would tick and it would throw me off, and I would talk in a rhythm because of it because I would whenever you've got a beat playing, you're kind of like you
right.
it messes with you quite a bit at first, but I've gotten used to it over time.
Well,
It's
what is that about dancing to your own inner drummer or
you
something, or
you march to the beat of a different drum.
something like that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like
Anyway, yeah, that's
that.
crazy.
But
Yeah,
yeah, it's so I've avoided psychedelics of any kind since then. And I haven't done any psychedelics since I've been clean at all. But like I wouldn't like something like psilocybin. I wouldn't be against like that if I felt like it was a a good idea. Um, the I have a different view on a lot of that stuff after being clean for several years. Like, like I've got a medical marijuana card now, and I use marijuana for. I mean, let's face it, I like to get stoned, but that's not the whole picture. Like,
yeah,
because of the heart surgeries and the car crashes and the motorcycle wrecks and all that stuff, and I can't take opiates and stuff because my history. So I won't take opiates. So it's really something that just helps me feel better and helps with some of the lingering pain and stuff from it. I'm 43, but I've put my body through a rough one. And yeah.
you're younger than my sons, so anyway.
I'll be 44 in July. I had I had I got a big I got a let's see, you can't even see it on camera, but I've got a big zipper scar from having open heart surgery,
No
and I
shit.
had
Wow.
I had my aortic valve replaced with a mechanical valve, and I had two patches put on my mitral valve, and almost died multiple times and spent 2 months in the hospital, and then um, a good year recovering.
Yeah,
And yeah, so it's still paying for some of the mistakes I made earlier in life.
yeah,
They did a lot of damage to myself. I used to have hepatitis. I've since gotten rid of that from using needles, and the IV drug use is a bitch.
yeah.
It's a horrible, horrible thing, and I've got big, deep scars on my arms and stuff from you know, poking myself 100 times a day, and but yeah, it's a
So,
thing.
yeah,
I do want to say this as we talk about these things. I don't, of course, know. Oh, first of all, let me say this: I closed our poll, and out of 24 votes, it was 92% to 8%.
oh
Yes,
wow.
that they had either them or a family member or friend had
Yeah,
dealt with addiction, and
yeah,
I think it's really important that if you have close friends or family members that you're going through this with, that you consider some kind of therapy for yourself as well, because um, a drug addict doesn't just destroy their lives; they'll destroy
Yeah.
the lives of everyone around them, and they'll destroy everything they touch. I mean, it's really a messy affair, and now so
Yeah.
many people experience that with friends and family that I think it's good, even go to an AA meeting with that person or whatever, just
Al-Anon.
to
Yeah.
get an idea of what they're dealing with and what they're doing to
Yeah.
change themselves, how much they care about it, and that I think it's important that families seek therapy too. And
I've seen cases where the family's more screwed up than the addict because the addict is stoned the whole time.
yeah,
And the family is feeling everything, right? They're not stoned. They're their face is in it constantly, and they can really get screwed up, and you need help
yeah.
with
Well, there's
sorting
also
it
like
out.
a lot of enabling that goes on in families, like
Yeah,
giving people money to get their drugs is the most direct thing. But sometimes with a drug addict, you have to draw a line and stick to it and say,
yeah,
if you're going to continue doing this thing, you're not going to live here. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to help you kill yourself. My mom used to tell me, well, she's told me recently that um, she would feel a sense of relief when she got a call and they'd put me in jail for some period of time, because she knew that I wasn't going to overdose. She wasn't going to get a call saying that I died. She said every time the phone would ring late at night, she was always afraid that
yeah,
it was someone calling to say that I had overdosed and died, because
yeah.
that's and it really does a lot of damage to your family and your loved ones and all that. And there's links in the description for resources on that too. I put several links down there, and I'll post all this in my Discord too for you guys that are over there. But um, even if you're not directly dealing with these things, go look at that stuff. It's in the world we live in. It's unfortunately, it's a big part of it, and I think it's important for people to understand, because a lot of people run around saying, addiction isn't a disease, and it's a character
It's a
flaw, and
choice. Yeah,
yeah, it's a choice and things like that, and that's just not the reality of the situation. And
yeah,
so, and also I said this earlier, but there's, for those of you here now, even if you want someone to talk to about this, I'm up usually 24 hours a day. Um, on my channel and in the description, there's multiple ways to reach me. Discord is the best way. You reach out to me and you want to talk to me, I'll even give you my number. You can call me or whatever. I'm always down to help somebody that's struggling with something like that. So yeah,
yeah. Me
it's
too.
there.
Uh, Part of what I do is answer phone calls on things like that. So if anyone who wants to reach out to me, and anybody that's interested in a secular recovery meeting, I go to one, and I have one. So
And
anyway,
if you're in a crisis situation, or you're considering harming yourself or anything, the National Suicide Hotline is 988, National Suicide and Crisis Hotline.
yeah,
You can dial 988 from any phone in the United States, and talk to someone there. So there's that too. Unfortunately,
yeah.
like when you get to that rock bottom, you feel there's few choices to be made, and sometimes people purposely try to harm themselves, and I would just say, if you're someone that's watching this and you feel that way, just stop for a minute and talk to somebody. Just take a minute, and if you're determined to do that, what's stopping for 5 minutes and having a conversation with someone going to hurt?
Yeah.
Talk to somebody, because we don't want to
Tell
see that.
somebody, tell somebody what you're going through.
Yeah,
The I've dealt with that pretty much all my life, and the one thing when I got in the darkest, most dangerous places was when I couldn't possibly say it out loud to anybody.
yeah,
I couldn't tell them. I'm thinking about, doing something. And if I couldn't say it, there are some situations where you can't say it because they'll throw you in an ambulance. And it's really important to find somebody you can talk to and say it out loud. Because as soon as you say it out loud, you're no longer in that dangerous mode where you're self-hating and you're self-internalizing your urges to hurt yourself, and that becomes uh, really important to reach out to anybody and just say it out loud. I'm
Yeah.
thinking about hurting myself, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
I've had oh God, I've had this throughout my entire life, especially my youth. It was horrible, and some of the things we do to our kids. I mean, it's God. My daughter was like 5 or 6 years old, and I came home one time drunk on my ass, having done like 20 hits of acid and drank all kinds of a quart of whiskey or something. And I had cut my wrists to the point where I was bleeding to death, and there was a stream of blood coming out of my hand or out of my jacket, my leather jacket. I was sitting in a pool of blood in the kitchen, and I had a bottle in one hand and a bleeding, blood in the next. My 5-year-old daughter comes running up to me, excited to see that dad finally came home. And she saw the state I was in, and she started crying and started trying to pull the whiskey out of my hand. That she went right to the source of the problem, right? And tried to pull it out of my hands. And
Yeah.
I did that to my kid. I did
Yeah.
that to my kid. Can you imagine
Yeah.
what that little girl felt like? It's like, holy
Uh,
shit.
and kids do that to their parents. My mom
Yeah.
had a car accident and was injured and stuff, and they had put her on Percocets, and I was stealing them all and taking them and didn't care. And they even went to she even went and talked to the pharmacist, so they were only giving her like 6 pills a day. Her dose was for the day, and I didn't even care that she knew. I'd go take all of them and just
Yeah.
we whenever you're deep in addiction, the only thing that matters is feeding that addiction, and it's not just a choice. It's the only thing your brain cares about. It will burn any bridge and harm any person and whatever. And the deeper you go, the more damage you're willing to do to get that fix, to get that
Yeah.
drug or that alcohol in you. And unfortunately, we hurt a lot of people, and there's a lot of guilt and things associated
Yeah.
with that. And you try your best to make amends for those things, and to go back and apologize and fix what you can fix. And those things that you can't fix, you just have to accept. And that's what I was saying earlier. That's part of the, like, it's a rough go of it, but it's what you have to do if you really want to change.
Yeah.
And I hope, I really do hope anybody going through that does want to change. And um, you know there's a million resources out there for you, and several of them are in the description there. Like I said, you can reach out to me, and I'll try and help you best I can. There's uh, there's a lot of resources out there that'll help you, and you don't have to live that life. You can change. Um, I'm a completely different person than I was, 15, 20 years ago. And uh, if I can make it to this place, I know that others can do it. The I had accepted that I was going to one day die doing drugs. Like, I had
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
accepted that was going to be my life, and eventually it would be over. And the I didn't think anything was ever going to change, and it did. And you're able to do that too. You really are. And it's through talking to people and really you have to try, you have to want it. You don't have to have some overwhelming amount of willpower or anything. You just have to want it, and you can get away from it. And that's my religious speech. It
Yeah.
sounded oddly like a preacher there for a minute. but
I don't
um
know. What the
but
hell?
yeah, I'll
I'm
give you
trying
Robin's number.
okay, trying to do a private chat, but I can't. But yeah, that's some crazy shit. Oh, know what else my daughter did when she was about 6 years old? My
What's
mom
that?
and dad were having an argument. My dad was an alcoholic, and she was over visiting the grandparents, and they were screaming at each other. She went and dumped my dad's Christian brothers a full quart down the sink
Oh boy.
because she went right to the source of the problem. It took my dad, I think, 2 years to forgive her for dumping his bottle out. But I mean, it's amazing that kids know, what the hell's going on. They know they see the problem. God, my kids
Yeah.
seen some shit. I don't know. And my sons, God, I did some horrible things to them. They were calling the cops on me constantly. Anyway,
I'm
but
I was pulling up Robin's number on my phone so I could send it to you here in a second. Um yeah, addicts, they I'm not saying that they don't deserve fault or whatever for what they do or to be held accountable. In fact, the problem is that often they're not held accountable for the things they do. But
yeah, yeah,
addicts will destroy everything,
yeah,
and taking their drug away from them like that is getting to the source of the problem. But it can also be uh, in some cases even a dangerous situation doing that. But I think a child doing that is it says a lot about the situation. Uh,
yep. It's
but
kind of devastating. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, and the
uh,
thing is that like, even though you're in the throes of addiction when you do the harm to other people, it's still you, and that is the state of who you are, and you're still doing that harm. And when you come out of it and you sober up, you have to go back and you have to do this thing where, number one, you confront what you did. You you endeavor with all your heart to never do it again. You apologize to that person and you offer to try to do whatever you need to do to repair that damage,
yeah,
because it was you that did it, even though you were screwed up at the time. But when you go through that phase, uh, you do the most important thing you can possibly do, and that in some way you forgive yourself.
yeah,
You don't let yourself off the hook, but you come to understand that you are now no longer that person that is going to do that kind of shit. Like, the
yeah,
thing that killed me the most about drinking is I would turn into the polar moral opposite of myself when I drank.
yeah,
I mean, all the things I valued, I would just throw out the window, and I'd be doing all the shit that I would hate other people for doing. And that had a devastating effect on myself, that I
yeah,
was doing these things that I hated other people for doing the same things, right? And when you come out of that and you go through the recovery process, that's an important part about rebuilding, is revisiting everything that you did and making it right and
yeah.
understanding how not to do that again.
And
That's the most
not
important
everybody
part
is
of it.
going to forgive you always. Like
It doesn't, yeah,
you
that
have to
doesn't
accept
quite
that
matter.
part.
Yeah. Yeah,
It-
I had amazing results with my ninth step. It's just unbelievable. I
yeah,
repaired friendships that had been on the rocks for 30 years, and we became good friends again as a result of. And I had the only trouble I had was actually with my sons. I don't think we ever quite resolved, and we still haven't resolved what happened to them. And but I'm working on it. So anyway,
I find often that whenever I'm dealing with other drug addicts that sometimes that person, all they need is just give them a chance, give them an opportunity,
Yeah.
and that will trigger them to want to change their life. They've just gotten so down on themselves, and they just need some opportunity to change, and they'll grab it and do it immediately. And um, that's not everybody, but it's something that I think sometimes seeing what that person's struggling with when they're in the depths of their addiction, and showing them that you still care, and that you will help them, but you're not going to help them continue to live that way. You'll help them with opportunities to change, and a lot of times you find that they're interested in that and do it. And sometimes I've had drug addicts tell me I have no desire to quit,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of the situation.
Yeah. You got to let it work itself out.
Yeah, but
I was I was always quick to the bottom. I would find my bottom very quickly, but then I found the perfect combination of cocaine and vodka, and I
yeah.
was able to stay on the rail for like 2 years or 5 years. And but prior to that, I would end up like every time I drank, I would end up in jail or psych ward or a
My
detox.
favorite cocktail was um, meth, heroin, and nerve pills,
Yeah,
all at the same time.
yeah,
You would be
yeah.
like hallucinating and passing out, and like, but still like speeding. It was a weird thing, but like
Staying
that.
on the rail is what.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Stay on the
that
rail.
was my cocktail
Yeah,
of choice, and very dangerous to do.
yeah. It
But
is.
the you know you just you don't care about any of those things. You just don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Whatever gets the drugs in you, and whatever. But it's I and even myself, I sometimes feel guilt that like it's I see all my friends have died and stuff, and I'm here, and like, why me? Why I did all these awful things, and I used to sell thousands and thousands of dollars worth of drugs that helped to lead people to their death, and
yeah,
uh, you know I got out of it and survived, and those people that I helped harm are no longer with us, and it's a tough pill to swallow, and one of the things I think about every day. It's uh, it's
Ascalon 106 says my neighbor's a volunteer for AA in Scotland. Absolutely stunned when I told him how much religion is involved in AA in the States. And that's kind of the way it is in Minnesota. The religion thing is like really not that big a thing in most of the meetings that I've gone to. So you got to understand that the community that you're in is going to affect because AA doesn't really have they don't have strict rules at all. They have no rules hardly. Uh, and every meeting is going to be different. So don't judge it based on. I mean, if you're in Kentucky or Arkansas or Texas, you're going to find religious bullshit everywhere. So
well, if you're in one of those states, and you need to find like some kind of secular resources, you can reach
online,
out to me or Mike or whatever, and
yeah,
we'll either something online, or I know
yeah,
some people that are involved in that, and again, with the like medicated assisted treatment, if you're looking for that kind of thing, I can refer you to a place that'll see you today. The but And it's all online. You don't have to go anywhere. But yeah, but it's I mean, we could sit and just go on about this for hours and hours and hours, and like I said, I'm glad that we get together and have this discussion every now and then, Mike, because I think you and I definitely relate on this level, and
yeah,
we definitely have uh, this shared experience that it's important that we talk about with this community, because there are people who have and do. I mean, just by looking at our whole, there's people that deal with this, and it's it's not always discussions about God and philosophy. It's there's other things too that we need to
Yeah.
address, and I think it's important we do that for this community. And uh, because drugs doesn't it doesn't discriminate against who becomes an addict. It's everywhere, and it's a discussion we need to have. There's been people in this very community that I won't drop any names, but people that I was very close with that are now back into a deep addiction, and um, seen it happen in real time. Had an episode at the and I've not even said this to anybody yet, but there was something that took place at the art protest that was very troubling, and somebody that I was very close to that is dealing with all this now, and all you can do is offer to be there or talk to them, give them resources. It
Yeah.
has to be their decision, though. It has to be them that wants to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, shit.
But
Yeah, I got a friend. I met him right when I sobered up 18 years ago, and I thought he was Mr. AA. It turned out he was only a few months sober, and he used just constantly. Like, he would disappear for 3 months at a time, and then he'd come back for about 2 months, go to meetings, go out 3 months. This went on until 4 years ago, and a miracle happened with him. And he overdosed on fentanyl. He took heroin to come down from the crack, and
yeah,
they had fentanyl in it, and his heart stopped. And a prostitute who knew CPR saved his life, and they got him in the hospital. He was in a coma for like 2 weeks, and he was sober for like a month, and he went out and used again. And I was like, I was at the point where every time the phone rang, I thought it was going to be him dead. And he sobered up, and he has just done amazing things in the last 4 years. And it was like, this is a person who I had lost hope in. And I even had to go to Al-Anon meetings because I was so screwed up over him. You know,
yeah,
yeah, and it was absolutely amazing. And me and him are, really, really close friends. And he is in recovery very firmly and doing wonderful. And these miracles are really worth waiting around for. I'm glad that I lived long enough to see that,
yeah,
and somebody
yeah,
else. I mean, Jesus Christ. And me, Christ, when I sobered up, I didn't think I was going to make it 3 years because I was so physically ill, when I was using.
yeah,
My nervous system was so shot. And here I am 18 years, and it's like, what the fuck? And
yeah.
I've had
It's
like these are the greatest years of my life. And I sobered up at 57,
yeah.
and
It,
these are the best years of my entire life. So,
it's really
uh,
surreal to look back at. Like you just
yeah,
like it's almost like an out of body experience. Like
yeah,
because it's like it's not you. You remember those things and those events, but you can't like you don't you don't emotionally connect with them the same way that you used to, and so it's a very strange thing to sit and think about some of the stuff that you did and everything else. And it's and that's why I say that people who are close to drug addicts need to look into counseling too, because you 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 can't just understand. Oh, you feel bad about it. It's so much more than that. There's
yeah, it is.
and that kind of thing can really help you understand what they went through, what they've put you through, what everybody's going through with it, and to understand where those people are coming from and what they're dealing with. I've been clean for 10 years, or a little over 10 years, maybe 11. I don't really know the date that I quit using. A lot of people keep track of that. I don't know. The um, but I've been clean for a long time, and I still I don't think about using it. I don't have cravings, and I know that I'll never go back to that at this point. But like it's a scary part of me that I cope with all the time, you know. And my big
Yeah,
problem with drugs was coping. Like anything that was going wrong in my life, just let's do put as much drugs in as you can and forget it, you know. And
yeah,
I've purposely done amounts of drugs that I knew were too much. The and you know, looking back on those things, it's just something. It's never going to leave you. It's always going to be part of you, and you have a couple of choices. You know, you can dwell on those things and be depressed and whatever. You can seek counseling and try to work through them. I choose personally to try at every point to leverage those things to do good things now. Like
yeah,
I try to take all of those negative things and everything and use them to talk to people and try and use it as an example to keep people from making the same horrible choices I did, which you can't actually do. But I think whenever I tell my whole complete story, sometimes that it does have an effect. My story's pretty fucking wild, which most drug addicts are, but like
yeah.
um, it's it's a wild ride, and so I try to at every opportunity use those things to do good instead of destroy everything.
Yeah, I started. Netflix automatically switched me down to this $7 a month version. It has commercials,
Yeah,
and they have all these goddamn alcohol commercials, and
yeah,
those things still get to me.
yeah.
But the interesting thing is that if I run out of water, I always have water on my left. If I'm thirsty, those commercials will hit me harder, but it still
Oh,
affects me.
yeah.
And then the other thing, if I'm watching a movie, like my favorite story is I was watching Friday the 13th, and Jason was breaking into the cabin, and there was this couple, and they were sitting there with glasses of whiskey, and Jason was busted through the door, and they got up and they ran, and I'm like, wait, no, take your whiskey with you. It was like everything in my head said, this is wrong.
Yeah,
You're gonna need it. He's gonna kill you. You're gonna need that drink, right? And I'm like,
amateurs.
and I thought, and that was after being sober for like five years. It's like Jesus Christ. It's like it's amazing how your mind works. But when people leave a drink on the table in a movie, I can't stand it. It's like that's alcohol abuse. It's
Yeah,
just like shit.
yeah, no, yeah. You can see that whenever you
Yeah,
see drug use and alcohol use in movies. A lot of times, you'll be like, you can see how fake it is because you're just like,
it's
that's not how that
right.
works.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
That's not what they would have done.
what I hate is the way AA depicts AA meetings,
Yeah,
or the way Hollywood depicts AA meetings. It was just so goddamn stupid. I think
yeah.
there are meetings like that out in California where they get up and it's like, oh, my life sucks, and the dog
Hey, I've
died,
been to
and
some like that.
oh shit,
You
it's just
sat in
like,
a little circle, and my name's Joe, and I'm an addict, and which that's a
I'm
normal part of being.
struggling. Yeah, it's
But
like
yeah, just
no,
the whole and like everybody just chiming in with weird things and stuff because it's a small
yeah,
group and everybody knows each other, and it's like you'll get I've been to some that are kind of similar to that. Not they're
yeah,
never quite like that, but
and the meetings I go to, if you got up and said, "Do you want to share?" they'd probably kill you because we don't use words like that. It's just like,
yeah,
"You want to share?" It's like, I don't know. It just we're a little harder core maybe in the Midwest. I'm not sure. I don't know.
yeah.
Like no bullshit. Like share
Well,
my fucking ass.
well, we're at the 2 hour mark, and my
Okay, we
youngin's
gotta
getting
go.
ready to get off the bus. So let's
Yeah,
head
can
out.
I just mention one thing?
Yeah, yeah, whatever you want, man.
They murdered somebody in my city last week, and my city's blowing up, and the whole world now is blowing up as a result of it.
Yeah.
And some really bad shit is going on here every day. And I think we got to do something. We got to raise our voices because shit is really getting weird. Doors are being busted down. U.S. citizens are being knocked over, dragged away, beaten, put into detention. And this is all happening right in front of our eyes.
Um,
And something weird is going on.
So on my show, Politicality, that I do on Thursdays, it's a
Yeah.
political show. We're going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
talking about that stuff this
Yeah,
week,
maybe
and
I'll stop in because
how to protect yourself and your rights and those kind of things. We're gonna
they
recognize
bust.
some of that stuff and talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, they busted a window out out of a car and drug a guy out at my bank. They arrested a U.S. citizen at the Target I go to, and this shit is just right in front of me. And I'm struggling. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to fuck to deal with this with what's going on. Anyway, just wanted to bring that up before we go. We can go now.
Yeah, no, I think that's important, Mike.
Yeah,
It's a big deal, and like, yeah, we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about that Thursday. I've got a lot of different stuff
good.
put up and share with people. Uh, Coming up this week, Robin is going to be debating Andrew or Stephen. I always call him Andrew. His name's like Stephen Andrew. Is Stephen from over at Proverbs guys? They're going to debate is the United States a Christian nation? And I think Robin's going to stomp all over this dude. But I will be mirroring that on my channel, so there's a place for atheists to watch it and chill and not worry about getting kicked out. You know that I don't think that if you're good, you know, if you're not stirring up trouble, I don't think they would kick you out over there. But this is just another option. It's going to be completely demonetized. It's not to make money or anything. It's just to support Robin, and I'm going to mirror that on my channel. I will post. I will post the thumbnail and stuff for that today or tomorrow. I've got 3 other shows coming up this week, and so I've kind of had to hold off on what I post because I've got so much coming up, and because I've got shows Thursday, Robin's debate Friday, and another show Saturday, and then another show Monday. So I've been trying to get back to staying busy doing this and stuff, and um, we're 10 subscribers away from 1,500, and I, you know, that's just a goal for me to see that happen. Every subscriber that joins this channel blows my mind, honestly. But like, I'm just really excited to hit 1,500. It's a big deal for me, and so yeah, we're gonna show Robin's debate and stuff, and lots more coming up on this channel. And you can check out Mike. I forgot all about this. We've been talking so much, but
Oh,
um,
answers. Yeah, I'd love to make 1,000 subscribers, and I'm at 869 right now. So if you could help me out, that would be
Mike's
great.
Mike's info is going to be coming up in chat. There it is. You can follow that link
Yep.
and go over there and subscribe, and support Mike too. You know, and like I said earlier, if you need somebody to talk to or whatever, or just want to have a discussion about these things, either one of us will sit down and talk to you.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
and
In the
um,
middle of the night, you can call me anytime. I don't care. I don't sleep either, really.
yeah,
I've been
Mike
up
and
since
I
1969.
Mike and I have had, you know, vastly different experiences. There's an age gap between us, and you know, all that stuff. But at the same time, we can very much connect on this one thing, and
Yeah.
understand what each other's been through and things. And so, and we, you know, we're willing to listen to you too if you've been through something and want to talk about it. And I do encourage you, whether you're an addict or you know somebody is or whatever, to check out all those links that I've put in the description of this video, and in the they'll be on my Discord. And if you're watching this at a later time, feel free to leave a comment down below, and you know, interact with me about it. Like I said, I'm happy to talk to anybody about this stuff, and if need be, I'll give you my phone number. You can call me and we'll talk about it. You know, but let's see. Mike over at Answers in Atheism. Go subscribe there, please, and come watch Robin on Friday and support Robin. I have Politicality on Thursday is going to be with me, and we've got a whole lot of stuff to talk about that's going on in Mike City. So come check that out. And that's all I got, guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming and supporting the channel.
Right.
Thank you to all the members and all that stuff. I really appreciate everybody who even takes time to come here and listen to me ramble. Have a good one, though, and see you soon.
See you later.